Breaking news coming in now. Madras High Court hearing the case of an alleged suicide in Tamil Nadu. The judge has directed the Tamil Nadu government to form special teams to identify those who provoked Sunday's violence regarding Kallakurichi girl's death. The judge said this does not appear to be a mere provocation. It appears to be an organized crime. Judge has ordered re-post-mortem in the case of Kallakurichi girl by a team of doctors appointed by him. Entire post-mortem to be videographed as well. Purnima Murali is joining me on the phone line. Purnima, the student is suspected to have jumped to her death from the third floor of the school building, and the autopsy report had confirmed injuries on the girl's body. And the suicide note clearly has spoken about how she struggled in several of her school subjects as well, and she had blamed the school teachers for putting her under pressure over her poor scores. Now, who were the petitioners in the Madras High Court? Was it a PIL, and what followed after the alleged suicide?
Well, the petition was moved by the father demanding a CBCID probe. But earlier yesterday, after violence erupted outside the school premises where many properties were damaged, the case was already transferred to the CBCID, and two of them belonging to the AIADMK IT wing were also arrested because of provocation. Today, the Madras High Court heard the case and has come down heavily on those who had damaged to the property, saying that this was an organized crime and special teams should be formed to ensure that whoever is behind it at the earliest. And the father, in his petition, also demanded that the postmortem be conducted because they did not select the girl's body. And the judge said that there could be a re-postmortem in this case. Lawyers and the father can also, after the postmortem is over,
prohibitory orders were in fact imposed at several places in Tamil Nadu's Kallakurichi district after protesters clashed with police and they indulged in arson at a residential school on Sunday to protest against alleged inaction following the death of a 17-year-old student earlier this week. Several people, including police officers, were injured in the violence that happened at the residential school. Later on Sunday, the school principal and two school officials were arrested, and the government transferred the suicide case to the CBCID. The protesters had set on fire at least 15 buses, including 3 police buses as well. So what was the motivation of this violence? Why did this violence take place? All that will be investigated. The High Court has now set up a special team, and the entire violence that followed the death will be investigated now. The Chief Minister, remember, had expressed regret over the violence and assured punishment for all those involved in the girl's death as well. He had appealed for peace too. Khushbu Sundar of the BJP is now joining me on the phone line. Khushbu, we are seeing the order that has come of the Madras High Court. They are saying clearly that what appeared, in terms of the violence, there was more than just provocation. It was an organized crime.
We need to return to investigation. It says that it's an organized crime. We need to find out who was behind this, organizing this such crime. What happened? It's very, very unfortunate that we lost a very young girl to suicide, and we need to investigate that first as to what caused the death. We need to punish those who have been responsible for her death, whoever they may be, however politically influential they might be. We need to investigate that and punish them. And yes, we also need to look into this as to what caused the violence. If somebody has instigated it, if it was a planned one, then yes, anybody who spreads violence, who spreads this kind of riot, needs to be given the biggest punishment, because we cannot tolerate in the land of ahimsa, we cannot tolerate this kind of violence.
Yes, there was a call that was made by some youth groups on social media. That is, of course, subject of investigation, Khushbu. But who really organized this violence is the larger question, because more than 2,000 people had gathered outside the school. So there are several aspects of this violence that played out on Sunday is now subject of investigation. But the larger question that is being raised by the Madras High Court is also, was this just some kind of provocation? But it appears also to be an organized crime.
See, that's what I'm saying. The court says this needs to be investigated. Now, only the investigation is going to come to a conclusion. But organizing 2,000 people, no, it's not possible. There could be a small group who had instigated and organized this kind of a crime and riot. It's very easy to influence people because the emotions are running really high. Any kind of justice is required, and it's easy to get influenced. So I wouldn't say that the entire 2,000 mob was organized, but if the court has observed that there is, chances of, or this was an organized crime, then we need to investigate whoever it may be, however small or big that group is. We need to find them out. We need to identify them, and we need to set a very clear record of the kind of punishment that is meted out, that nobody else can instigate a mob to get involved or to create this kind of a riot. We need to send out a very clear message that law is about everyone else.
Absolutely.
And you need to abide by the law.
So the Madras High Court has ordered second autopsy. And also at the same time has said that there seems to be a larger conspiracy behind this entire violence. A. Sarvanan of the DMK is joining me as well. Mr. Sarvanan, the question really is there some kind of intelligence failure of the police too? Because if there is a gathering of this nature, 2,000 people gathering outside a school with a call that came on social media, what was your police doing? What was your intelligence doing?
See, what has happened is unfortunate, very unfortunate. This is sent shockwaves across the state of Tamil Nadu, because this is a kind of violence which the state of Tamil Nadu had never ever seen. It is a very heart-wrenching death. Any death of a student, that too that of a young girl, is heart-wrenching, and justice is being meted out to them. It is the first post-mortem clearly indicated that the preliminary report said this is the case suicide. So action is being taken on that. But the larger thing is, as pointed out by the Madras High Court, the larger conspiracy, who is responsible for this violence? Certainly some fringe elements who have taken this into their hands, and they are trying to blow it out of proportion. That is what has happened, and the government, Tamil Nadu government, will ensure that this violence, whoever is the perpetrator behind this violence, is brought to book, and this kind of violence never happens.
When you say fringe elements, then why are two AIA-DMK party functionaries, why have they been arrested?
Because they have been posting incendiary comments in the social media. That is the reason, and whoever has perpetrated this in the social media, they are being booked, and whoever is responsible, even remotely connected, they will be brought to book. Because this kind of violence is new to the state of Tamil Nadu. This has never happened. And when action is being taken, this is not an incident where there is total apathy. Postmortem was done. The minister of the concerned district has met with the parents. Justice is being meted out to the victim. But some unruly elements, some fringe elements some political elements who want to blame the Tamil Nadu government on the law and order issue, trying to...
Sarvanan and Khushbu, stay with us, because there is another piece of breaking news that is coming in now. Major private school associations in Tamil Nadu has now announced closure of schools in the state today to condemn the violent protests that erupted at a residential school in Kallakurichi following the alleged suicide of a student. So now schools will be shut across the state, is what we are being told.